your article, KHAKISTOCRACY, is said to be
government led by the
government
worst among us, yes.
How does this apply to our society?
Thank you. You see, the kite that was sold to Nigerians in 1999 was that it was Nadeko that fought the military, let them form the government. So the best among Nigerians stayed away due to many unfulfilled promises of the military. So most people did not even believe that this 1999 transfer of power will happen. So the best among Nigerians stayed away from politics. Then another mishap happened in 2003 when Obasanjo bamboozled the whole Southwest governors, except the present Nigerian president, who happened to be the governor of Lagos State then, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It was he alone that escaped the deceit of Obasanjo. All other governors fell by the side. So those who do not have the least quality became governors in the Southwest. We had Fayose in Ekiti. We had Olagunsoye in Osun. All types of different characters. Olagunsoye Oyinlola was an administrator in Lagos State before Mawa. He said on national TV that he couldn't find asphalt. That was why he couldn't attend to the road networks in Lagos. That was the character that became two-time governor in Osun. So rather than to build on what those first set of 1999 governors did, a kind of political virtue dominated politics and governance in Southwest. So they draw us back. So Fayose, as a governor in Ekiti, was an embarrassment. On the street of Lagos, they will say, you guys, you will say you are smart, you are brilliant, you are this, you are that, but your governor is Agbero. They will be taunting us. So, when he was leaving, he did not even left, he was pushed away. And I don't know how they ended the poultry saga.
I guess it's still in court.
That is part of the challenge we have in Nigeria. Because if we have the right people in the right place, if not the worst among us, the right people will know what to be done and they will do the right thing. So, as of today, we have a pocket of good people here, a pocket of good people there, but the entire politics and governance in Nigeria is dominated by the worst among us.
Would you say the same thing of what you've said about Fayose, of the first civilian governor in Ekiti State?
Yeah. You see, this is the problem. Chief Adeniyi Adebayo was the first civilian governor in Ekiti State. He was not ready. He did not have the capacity to be a governor at that time. So he came as under the shadow of the popularity of his father, who was well respected, not only in the West, in Nigeria as a whole. I remember a poster was put to him to tell us the day he found so much difficult in his life. He said when he removed the tire of his car. So, as at that time, we need somebody who understood the challenges that Ekiti people were facing. But unfortunately, he was here and there attending social party. If any student anywhere in Ekiti, then we'll call and invite a state governor to a birthday party. And you see a city governor dancing in a birthday party. So, the foundation of this present politics and governance in Ekiti was not well laid.
What do you think about the administration of Segun Oni, who came after the the first term of Fayose?
You see, Shefshago in the Ekiti State government was just an interregnum. You understand? It was by, I think, by chance. But had it been that government was sustained and allowed to complete its term, I think a kind of foundation would have been laid. He stood out among all the governors we've had in Ekiti. He's so contented. He knew what to be done. He was not ATM to politicians. So Ekiti people were carried along. You don't need to know anybody in the government. As long as you can do one or two things, everyone was brought on board. So when you go on the street, Ekiti people will still tell you that was the best government Ekiti ever had. You understand? And with what is the fund coming into Ekiti then? Very little. When he was leaving over 100 million, he left over 100 million in his office. Which I have another friend who audited him and confirmed the actual sum that was made. He didn't take a dime from what was left the day the judgment was pronounced. So that is an example of Omoluabi Ekiti.
This program intends to bear the torch of the Ekiti integrity, showcasing the Ekiti origin, religion, culture, and political struggles from the past to the present. People of the fountain.
We were people of integrity, of value. We were disciplined people. We embraced hard work. So Shefshago is shown that example while in government in Ekiti.
What would you say of JKF, especially of his first term? Because he came to this place, he came after Shegun.
Shegun, yeah. That is an interesting story. I came to Ekiti politics through JKF. And while we were in JKF too, I disagreed with him while I was serving under him.
As in the second term?
In the second term.
But you agreed with him in the first term?
I wasn't even in Ekiti politics in the first term.
At that time. But can you assess his first term?
Yes. From hearsay, because I was not in Ekiti, what I've gathered was that he really did do well in his first term. He had a grip of what to be done. He had quality personnel assigned to different duties, and he was diligent with the work at hand then. But in second time,
can we, before you go to second term, that first term, a major criticism was that he took a loan to build a government house, which many people found almost irresponsible, to take a loan to build what will not yield profits.
Yeah, I think that is part of the recklessness of the people in government. I followed Baba Akonde when he was governor in Osun. He built the largest secretariat in the whole Nigeria with a little over 1 billion without taking a loan. So, you know, when we talk of governance, it is not something you bring Dick and Harry to come and do. You might be brilliant, you might be exposed, but we are talking of management of resources, human and material. That is the length and breadth of governance. It is purely management of resources, human and material. And if you don't have serious personal participation in creating and building wealth, it becomes so difficult to succeed in government. I will tell you an example. I worked with Beverly Airline up to April 1, 2009. I was the branch accountant, VI, Osubambadiwe. During our season, there is no passing week that I will not have up to 200, 250 million naira cash in my office and other denominations. I was in that office for 3.5 years. I had the best record among other branches in Nigeria and overseas. I ensured that every penny, every kobo was accounted for. You know, people who were, there was a man who happened to be one of the account backroom staff. So one of our staff at the domestic airport went on leave. And they now called this man to go and take over his place for that period. In less than a week, this man stole over 1 million naira. Because he had not been exposed to managing cash.
That's why he stole?
That was why he stole. Because the integrity was not there. So he thought it was a loose cash. Somebody who had not managed 100,000 and is making a sales of 1 million, 2 million daily. So the possibility of such a man to filter with the money is one. So the same thing happened to all the governors we've had in Ekiti, except Shagoni. When you look at the background of Shagoni, it's coming from the private sector. He understands how to manage people, how to manage materials. He has dealt with 20, 30, 40 people. Who among the others had employed maybe 10, 20 people prior to becoming governor in Ekiti State?
Okay, let's
so
talk.
It's an aberration. It's abnormal to have a governor who had not managed resources at large sum.
You were going to talk about the second coming of Governor Fayemi.
Fayemi.
Yes. Can you analyze his second term?
You see, the second term, I said in that piece that he had the clear understanding of what to be done. You know, he was a governor once, so he knew what that office demanded. And when he came in, he was focused at the beginning. He hired the best hands. He gave them freedom to make contributions. But along the line,
you were in that government?
I was in that government as the first special assistant on values orientation. I was there. So, but when he became the governor, the chairman of the Governors Forum, then the focus shifted from
local politics,
the nitty-gritty of daily management of Ekiti State government,
okay,
to Abuja and his personal ambition. But had it been the people he left at home, Mr. Oyebanji and Mr. Omoleye, if they were that credible, they would have held the state for him, and nobody will feel his absence from the state. But unbeknown to Ekiti people, these people were busy chasing their personal ambition discreetly. Discreetly. You understand?
Without attending to issues of governance.
Without, I will tell you one practical fact. Whenever JKF is outside the state, you will not see either of the next two principal officers in government office.
What positions were they holding then?
The present governor was this SSG, and Mr. Omolaye was the chief of staff.
And the two of them will not come to
The governor's office become a kind of cemetery-like. No activities until JKF come back.
return. And he wasn't aware.
He was aware. He said it to their face in one of the meetings. So that was what derailed that government.
At what point did he actually lose touch with the governance in the state and started to attend to national
It was immediately became the chairman of governors forum. I'm not good in terms of figure. I don't.
Can't remember.
But I think that was when that started.
It could have been about midway into the 4-year term.
I think that is exactly. So he hardly stay 2 days in a week in Ekiti. He will come, then before you know it, he has gone again. So he had the best understanding of work to be done, but because of his shift in focus, he couldn't really do so much. And don't forget what was coming in then was about 1/4 of what this present government is getting, notwithstanding the devaluation of Naira. So that was the summary of GKF for a second.
Okay, so how would you compare the two terms?
Okay.
One was better than the other?
Yes, I think the first term was better.
Even though you were not there then?
Even though I wasn't here.
And you said you disagreed with him at some point. What exactly were the areas?
Yes, when the issue of who will succeed him came up. Because the pressure they gave us was that whoever will succeed him will be better than him. And I knew, and everybody knew, that he was the captain of that government. Nobody came close to him in terms of understanding of governance, in terms of experience, in terms of exposure, in terms of personal development. Nobody in that government. Nobody in that government came close to him.
Okay, so how would you now get a replacement?
We were thinking it would look outside the system. Ekiti, sons and daughters are doing well, home and abroad. We have great individuals, great sons and daughters, doing well on private capacity. So what we have today is not even among the first 1,000 Ekiti sons and daughters that are doing great, that can better manage this state.
Now, you have selected Segun Oni's government as the best
we
ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say, would you tell us which comes next to him among all?
I think first time they gave.
How would you rate Fayoshe's government?
His government was, how would I put it, was a rape on the Ekiti people. We wouldn't have even experienced such if people had shown more concern about politics and governance in Ekiti. So his period as a governor in Ekiti is a slap on us. I don't know if you had access to the interview granted by Senator Dudu on this war with him. So if a competent court could say somebody has no shame, no integrity, so I won't discuss such a person.
There are those who believe that next to Segun Oni is Fayose in terms of development of Ekiti State, infrastructural and in other areas.
You see, I've heard that severally. But what is the indices? What was coming to Ekiti then? What did Fayose did with those things? Do you understand? When you say somebody is doing well, you look at the resources in his disposal and what he had achieved with that resources. So you can't just point to one thing or the other and say this man is doing incredibly well without telling us the resources at his disposal. You understand? So, as I said earlier, I won't discuss Fayose because it's government in Ekiti. It's a rape. It's a slap on us.
Okay, now let's look at the how would you assess this present government is in its third year and rounding off very soon, and then there are preparations towards another election. How do you assess the quality? You have spoken about under the KHAKISTOCRACY.
Yeah.
Would you say who are those in Ekiti State in terms of leadership, governance in the last 29 years who fall under this category of KHAKISTOCRACY?
We have Fayose number 1, Fayose number 2, and the Bow number 3. Those are the 3 administrations.
No,
yeah.
2 administrations.
Fayose came twice.
It's still one. It's still Fayose.
The first and the second
okay.
is 1 and 2.
Still Fayose. Mm-hmm.
So the third is this ongoing administration.
Okay.
When you look at the quality of his appointees, where a woman who sells OB is made SA, a radio caller made SSA.
A radio caller.
A radio caller.
Somebody called on a radio program.
When a program is on, he will call
a woman.
Not there is another teller from Elisha.
Okay.
And there are others.
Okay.
When you have journalists, people who have to be the watchdog of his government in his payroll as appointees, when you have people that people are saying they are courtists as SSAs, then you will understand what I mean by the worst we ever had. When the appointment was made, the succeeding SSA of value orientation came to me. He said the wife of the immediate past governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, said he should meet me. He met me in my house. I gave him
this present administration.
I released to him everything in my custody about values. And I pledged that he could call to me at any point in time. The government is going to be 3 years in October 16. I've never had this man done anything on value. I also learned that no SSA or SA has a letterhead. So we could not see the activities of all these appointees except few that are relevant to his endorsement program.
You mean the endorsement is most important to him?
Very, very most important to him. You understand? So these are the people that occupies position of trust in his administration. So how many ministries have you listened to that are functioning either on television or radio? How many SSA, SA are performing now that you can give kudos to?
So the governor Ayo Fayose, former governor, and Abayomi Ibanji,
yes,
are the 2 worst Ekiti governors
we've ever had.
And today the 2 governors are working together.
Yeah, a birds of a feather flock together. So if Bao could befriend Fayose, then it shows they have a meeting point. They share some values, either negative or positive together. An old long adage, show me your friend, I will tell you who you are. So if a competent court could say somebody lack integrity and dignity, and you visited that man 18 times, For what? For advice or counseling on governance or politics. So I don't know why such a marriage is so pronounced now.
You haven't seen a reflection of perhaps the quality of governance of Fayose during this time, because as I said earlier, many people still feel that Fayose's government, in terms of infrastructure, did very well, and he was very popular. In spite of all the criticisms against him, he appeared to be most loved. Even till tomorrow, in the history of those who have governed Ekiti State, the person who was followed by the masses, regardless of what the people said about him. How do you respond to that?
You see, Fayose understood what Ekiti has become. When we were growing up, we will stand on our right and fight till death to defend it. But you know, I said I talk about tokenism in that piece. Fayose saw a different Ekiti, who are sheep, who are easily lured by little things. It started by, he knew there was challenge of water in Nadu. You understand? The challenge is still there till today. Now he was distributing water. And they thought he has done them something that nobody has ever done. While I was growing up in Ekiti here, we would trek 3 kilometers to farm to fetch water. I grew up under that practice. Now, that was what they were celebrating. When Fayose became governor of the state, how many dams did he repair? How many dams become functional under his government? So, you see, I don't blame Fayose. He noticed what we have become and he capitalized on it and exploited it. When people say, Fayose do this, I always ask, where are the physical presence of his legacy? The new government's office, the judiciary, new building that killed a certain judge recently, and the parting of a single carriageway to 2 that he did in major term, which in itself was even an embarrassment. There was no expansion of any sort. He partitioned a single carriageway to 2. So this is to any decent individual, it is an embarrassment. What was the total fund that was available to his government? How can you account for that?
May he made more money than his predecessor?
By the time he came, you know, I said Fayemi was up and doing in his first time. He had the understanding of what to be done. And he was focused. Okay, I will give you an example. The issue of poultry farm. The Fayose backed up. The owner of biological concept, Mega James, was my friend then. He was from Mondo town. Tinubu Richard, that coordinated the project here, was my friend from Iraq-Wiji Osho. When they were planning that, I was in Lagos. And Richard said that our friend in Ibadan was a friend of Fayose and he has won the contract. I want to establish a poultry farm. The discussion was always on. At times I would come to Mega James farm in Ibadan, where they were arranging how the programs were on. But the first money that was released to Mega James was 80 million. And the really card then was MLS Masters. He just traveled abroad and got MLS Masters, Mega James.
Without executing the project?
That was, the program was designed to steal money. Do you understand? So it wasn't intentional to produce poultry foods for Ekiti. So when Obasanjo visited, the chicken that was in some of those poultries were brought from Mega James farm, from Ibadan. And immediately Obasanjo left, those fowls were returned. So the EFCC case, I think he made a plate bargain. Over 1 billion naira. So where is the presence of that poultry farm today? So that was why I said earlier that Fayose regime was an embarrassment to me. Such character wouldn't have become a councillor in old Ekiti.
Would you say other governors are free of such act of corruption? It may not be poultry, but in other areas.
You see, the only governor that has not been accused of fraudulent behavior in office, I think it was Adebayo Adeola. Do you understand? And Yoruba will say, Ojo gate, Officer Mejeji. So if there is no traces of fraud, it becomes so difficult to allege or accuse. Because when you allege or accuse, you have to prove. So those who allege that there was fraudulent act during JKF2, and those who allege fraudulent behavior in Fayose 1 and Fayose 2, they have their facts. But unfortunately, the judiciary is something else. And that is why Nigeria as a nation will continue to struggle until the judiciary is sanitized.
Elder, let's talk about a comparison between Fayose and the sitting governor. You said the two of them belong to the worst category of your kakistocracy.
Yeah.
Now, is one better than the other?
You see, one is of advanced knowledge in smart practices, and the other one is cunning, discreet, and I think is learning from his godfather Fayose. So they are of the same stock.
Okay, now let's talk about the 2026 governorship election. You have, from all indications, you appear to be a follower of Engineer Kayode Ojo. Could that be the reason you are so much opposed to the sitting governor?
Back to why I was in government. By the grace of God, it's not for pecuniary gains. I have 3 sons, and to the glory of God, they are outside Nigeria. I have 2 in UK. I have 1 studying in Cyprus. Today I have a granddaughter. So, I'm not rich, I'm not poor, and I'm not desperate to get rich. I'm only desperate to get to heaven. No matter how long we live on earth, we will exit it. And what we do here will follow us to our final destination after death. So my focus is not on material things. You understand? That is not my focus. My focus is to leave behind a better world, a working society. So I knew the present governor before he became a governor. You know, I said he was working discreetly to become governor. The secretary of the system government came visiting to his office. He told them he was not a politician. I bet you to go to Ekiti. He never voted in Ekiti until his own election. So I know these characters. Now to why I queue behind the Kayode Oso. I said governance is about management of resources, human and material. By the grace of God, Engineer Kayode Oso is a director in over 50 listed companies in Nigeria today. The IPPIS energy stock that about celebrated last year, Engineer Kayode Oso is a director in that organization. So when you have somebody who have the shares of his company, of over 50 different companies traded in the stock exchange, you know, he has gotten experience in managing resources, human and capital. When it comes to exposure, he has business presence in America, Trinidad and Tobago, in Dubai, in Germany. Do you understand? He is consulting for different foreign companies. So he falls within the category of the people that has the right credentials to lead the state like Ekiti because of his antecedents. So I can tell you, if by the grace of God, Engineer Kayode Oso become the governor of Ekiti 2026, it will take a very tough conviction for me to work with him. I like my liberty, my freedom. I love it so much. Doing my own thing. So I'm not doing that because I'll become this or become that in the government. I'm doing that because I know he has the capacity to change the fortune of Ekiti. So that has been my concern. And those that are in government, Otumba Adebayo, who had been the governor here, Shivshagoni, Fayose, JKF and Bao, they know him. They know his capability. They know what he can do. But because they want to lord themselves on Ekiti, we are the owner of this state. That is why you see them doing all things to put him at bay. But if God comes, no matter how strong their gang is, they will fail because they deserve better.
We're speaking with the chairman of Advocacy for Values, Human Sustainability and Personal Development Foundation, Elder Kayode Oso Adeola. Elder, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, sir.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
People of the Fountain.